guys, welcome. Welcome back, welcome aboard, welcome home. As always, completely and totally dependent on where you happen to be in relation to this channel, these messages this week, etc., etc., etc. So let's, as always, just dig right in. This is the weekly What's Up for the week of May the 22nd through the 28th, 2023. Yeah, so on Monday we start with Cancer Moon, quincunxing retrograding Pluto, sextiling Saturn. The Sun in Gemini will sextile Mars. And then the Moon trines Saturn and sextiles Mercury. Here's the deal. On Monday, your identity is up for inspection, right? Your motivation and that deeper sense of why, right? Your overarching why, the thing that pulls you forward toward action, right? That thing that puts you into motion. That why is really available for witness in a really big way, actually, on Monday. Here's the deal. Don't hold back from your own truths and from your own reality, right? The key is feel the very deep cosmic support that is beneath you. And so as you feel that cosmic support, you are able to dive most fearlessly, right? In that kind of, do you think that's air you're breathing sort of way, right? So allow yourself to kind of be in that fearless, galactic spelunking kind of mode, right? Yeah. On Tuesday, the 23rd, 13 minutes into the day, Mars in Leo squares Jupiter in Taurus. That's a pretty deep fixed square, right? The moon will oppose Venus in the early-ish morning, and then the moon in Cancer squares Chiron in Aries. So a cardinal square, pretty exciting anyway. And then the moon sextiles Uranus later. So here's the deal. That's two big squares, right? Mars squaring Jupiter, so your action squaring your evolution. And then the moon squaring Chiron, so your feelings squaring your healing. So like last week, our theme, right, was stop, breathe, and feel. Again, if you do not adopt that little strategy, stop, breathe, and feel before you do, you may come back with some regrets today. In fact, right. So mind the fact that your triggers could absolutely be on fire in a way that makes you really feel more reactive, not only than usual, but like than ever. I mean, maybe not ever. That could be my Sag Mars exaggerating, but the bottom line is you could really, really feel reactive and triggered and gun shy today, right? So practice the pause hard. And if you need balance, the moon conjuncts Venus, right, in Cancer. So here's the deal. That sense of home is really, really your guiding light. And allow it to be front and center, because it's always going to lead you back to where you need to be. Yeah. So let your triggers, all those triggers that we're talking about, let those be revelation, right? Not incendiary things. So if you let those triggers be kind of revelatory opportunities instead of incendiary tiger pits, right? You might experience and express in a more healthy way today. So just mind your triggers. On Wednesday, the 24th, there's a lot going on cosmically. The moon will trine Neptune and then move into Leo, right? So Leo moon. big feelings, you-centered feelings, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but you just have to mind your motivation, right, and your claims. That Leo moon will oppose retrograding Pluto, square Jupiter, conjunct Mars in Leo, and sextile the Sun. And then in the evening around dinner time, Venus in Cancer squares Chiron, right? Another big square. And then the Leo moon will quincunx Saturn. Yeah, right before the day ends. Hello, we see you. So here's the deal. In the movie The Matrix, they talk about the jump, right? Where they're standing on one building and they have to jump to the next building. And it's all about believing that you can do that. So here's the deal. You can see the other side, but you might not be quite available to make the jump on Wednesday. That whole leap in the net will appear concept is brilliant, but here's the deal. Unless you've done the prep work, the net might not be big or strong enough or wide enough to span that gap all the way, right? So on Wednesday, adopt that kind of check yourself attitude so that you don't wreck yourself. Just be mindful, stop, breathe, feel. It's okay. It's okay to do that, right? It's okay to move when you feel ready, not when the situation creates a reaction. It's okay to move when you feel ready, as opposed to when the situation creates a reaction, right? Right, I'm not kidding. On Thursday, the Leo moon squares Mercury and trines. Hello, Chiron. Yeah, so here's the deal. Talking yourself into a corner would be really easy today. Talking yourself into a disaster might also be very easy today. So here's the thing. Ask yourself, who's taking me personally? Who's taking me literally, right? And then reconsider that it might appear or feel that way to you, but that communication is a two-way street. And so put yourself in the shoes of the person to whom you are speaking, and consider that you might not be sounding like you think you sound. You may not be expressing yourself in the way you believe you're expressing. Witness how the things that you are expressing may be interpreted in a different way, right? Because your intention behind an expression might not be received in that way. So put yourself in somebody else's shoes in terms of the way you're communicating, what you're saying, how you're saying it, and recognize the fact that there might just be misunderstandings, right? And so, as I always say, always ask, never wonder. So if you feel like you're being misunderstood, you probably are. And there's nothing wrong with asking someone, does that make sense? Does that make sense, right? Am I making sense to you? In a very non-confrontational way, because all you're asking for is, we're coming to understanding. Am I being clear enough for you, right? And ask questions if you don't understand as well. On Friday, the 26th, the Leo moon will square Uranus. Venus, of course, in Cancer, will sextile Uranus as well. And then the Leo moon will quincunx Neptune before the moon moves into Virgo, right? So very exacting feelings, some feelings that feel a little bit self-critical, right? And then that Virgo moon will quincunx Pluto. So here's the deal. We're going to go back to that revelatory, not incendiary, right? This applies again today. And so if you wake up carrying baggage from your dream time, like, sometimes you wake up and you're just mad about what you dreamt, or you feel some kind of way. If that happens, make sure to set it down. Find a way to put that dream baggage down, because it could just get heavier and more entangled as the day goes on, especially with the moon quincunxing Neptune, right? And so you just want to be sure that you're as clear as possible. So it really could end up very heavy and cloud your other perceptions if you don't find a way to offload that baggage. And around bedtime, the moon moves into Virgo, as we said. So resist the urge to get overly critical. And I mean with yourself or others or the world in general, right? And because that happens very late in the day, and then we have a quincunx to Pluto. If it's too heavy, just go to bed early if you need to. Just go to bed early, right? Because, you know, that dreamtime messaging, if you're still carrying it, you might want to get right back where you were so that you can get some clarity. On Saturday, the 27th, that Virgo moon is busy. We have a trine to Jupiter, a square to the Gemini sun, an opposition to Saturn, and a trine to Mercury. So in the sky, we will be witnessing a T-square, right? The moon opposite Saturn squaring the sun. So you can witness that in a few ways. You can witness it as very heavy and very restrictive. You can. It could also be an exceptional morning to dive into some like things that you've been avoiding, some tasks, right? Creating a routine or creating something that allows you to find yourself in a better way, right? Does that make sense? Here's the thing. Do not look back with that Virgo moon, right? Don't sit and wallow in your if I only woulda, if I only coulda, if I only woulda, shoulda, you know, just let all that go. Let it go. And just do the thing you want to do, right? Stop entangling. Stop carrying forth all that stuff that you may or may not be feeling some kind of way about dragging around, right? Allow the expression, the doing to be enough, because guess what? It is, right? It is. On Sunday the 28th, the sun will square Saturn, and then that Virgo moon quincunxes Chiron and trines Uranus and sextiles Venus. So here's the deal. You might feel under some kind of personal attack on Sunday, and guess what? It's all you. So some unexpected or unseen consequences, right? You know, we all have those things, right? We're talking about a lot of Saturn energy. And so what I always say about Saturn is that the only thing that Saturn can use against you is the stuff you left laying out in the yard. So sometimes you don't know it's there until it smacks you in the head. So be okay with that. And if it arrives on your doorstep, kind of welcome it. But understand that the less time you spend blaming yourself or re-wandering through that terrain or feeling like you have to feel guilty about it, or you need to blame yourself, or you need to convolute some blame and blame someone else. Honestly, that's not going to get you anywhere, right? My BFF likes to say, build a bridge and get over it, right? So since we're in do mode, I say to you, build that bridge and get over it, right? What is on the other side of the bridge is the point, right? Is the point. And the less time you spend blaming yourself, the more time you can spend learning the lesson you're being asked to learn. Really? We're going to give this one more. Okay, well, there it is. Right, exactly, of course. Don't you love how the sun's moving here? I kind of do. I think it's fun. So the key to this week, in my opinion, is really about finding a way to be in motion without being in self-criticism, right? We got quite a bit of majors, so this is a big week. Let's pay attention. Let's find the right place here. Okay, so we have Judgment in the Chariot. This is beautiful, right? So Judgment is all about gathering information and moving forward. It's about witnessing your past patterns, taking what you need and moving forward. And the Chariot is about balanced forward motion, right? So we're balancing our head and heart. We're balancing love and logic. And we're always coming back to that center. We talked about this as definitely finding that sense of why that is motivation for us, right? So we find the sense of why, we move forward from there and understand we have cosmic support. You've got 2 majors here. You absolutely have cosmic support. Be available for that, right? Be available for it. Again, we're talking about motion without anchors. So however you want to feel that, however you want to witness that, that's up to you. I would suggest that you find a way to do that. If you need facilitation, find facilitation. If you need quiet, find quiet. If you need self-care, find self-care. Whatever that means to you is what it means. On Tuesday, we have Strength and the Wheel. So again, we have 2 majors. So Strength is all about strength is the way that you are able to confront your demons, your beasts, right? Your shadows, the things that may trigger you, the way that you may have acted without thought in the past, right? How honest can you be with your own truth? And the Wheel asks you to be in that flow state, in that motion, witnessing that life is a series of ups and downs, of learnings and integrations, right? And no matter what's happening, you're always in that process. So what we want to do is stop and breathe and feel, right? This is an infinite cycle. We're drawn to the cycle here, right? This part that we are in infinity. And then the cycle that is the wheel. These never stop being in motion. And so if your triggers are on fire, the place you need to go is forward, right? Toward that trigger. Figure it out. Ask the questions. If you have to pause to take a breath and have an evaluatory moment, go ahead and do that. But never stopping your motion. This is always about home. How are we moving toward home, right? Or away? Again and again, we have to ask ourselves that question. How am I in healing or out of healing? I'm always doing one or the other, right? Always doing one or the other. On Wednesday, the 24th. So we have the 7 of Swords and Strength again. So the 7th of Swords, the 7th of Swords, wow. The 7 of Swords is about deception. It's about betrayal. It's about tactics, right? It's about the way that we deceive or deceive ourselves, right? What is hidden? But we know it, right? This is not about subconscious. So strength is, are you actually facing what you need to be facing? And we talked about this as that day where you might not be quite ready to make the jump. So check yourself. What are you telling yourself? Where are you in bullshit with your own self, right? And can you face it? Do you have the strength, the metal in your spine, in your veins, in your heart to face your own stories where you're out of alignment? Check yourself. Check yourself, right? On Thursday, we have the 4 of Cups and the 9 of Wands. So the 4 of Cups is kind of this disconnect, disassociation, like, I'm not feeling it, you know, maybe not. It's kind of like, I'm bored with this. It can also be a card of avoidance, right? Like, it's just a little much for me. And then the 9 of Wands is about, I have been doing this for so long. I'm tired, right? I'm tired. I know what I'm defending, right? Look at this guy. He's defending this whole thing, right? But he's tired. You can see it in his face. He's got all this work going on. but perhaps it's not the work he thinks, right? Perhaps his work is in distraction or avoidance, right? So we talked about this as being that day where you might talk yourself into a corner. And we need to reconsider what it is that we're expressing and how we're being received. We might not be saying what we think. We might not be putting forth the expression that we actually think we are, which is what's making us tired, which is what's making us in distraction. So are you actually embodying your message, or are you embodying your distraction? A great question. On Friday, we have the King of Wands and the Tower. Listen, this is the day where we talked about, again, we're coming back to that revelatory, not incendiary, right? So, King of Wands is about leading with your passions, right? It's an echo of this Chariot card, which asks you to be in balance with love and logic, head and heart. But this is about having the passions of your motivation that creates a dedication, right? Because motivation is a beautiful thing, right? The Knight of Wands is all about charging forward, but the King of Wands is about having the energy to sustain your impassioned movement, right, over time, because you're aligned with your why, which is really what we've been asked in the whole beginning of the week. And the Tower is going to explode anything that's not in alignment with that. So again, revelatory, not incendiary. So put down what's not serving you, right? We talked about this as a day to put down that Dreamtime baggage because it might just be too heavy. And so if it is, drop those wands, drop those 9 wands, and understand that if you don't, they will be dropped for you. And you're going to have to circle all the way back to what it is that got you moving in the first place. On Saturday, we have the 7 of Wands and Justice. So the 7 of Wands is really about being in defense of what's important to you, right? It's why I'm keeping this fire lit. So as we've circled all the way back around and we've cut away the nonsense with Justice, right? We are now back at that place where we understand what our why is, right? So we talked about this as being an exceptional day to dive into those things that you've been avoiding, to do the things that you've been putting off, to do and allow that to be your expression, and understand that it's enough, right? It's enough, whatever it is. It's enough. Justice says you're in balance, whether you believe it or not. You're in harmony, whether you believe it or not, right? Your pillars are supportive, whether you believe it or not. Your fire is lit and you are determined, right? Whether you believe it or not. And then on Sunday, we have the 8 of Cups. Again, we had the 8 of Cups a couple times last week, I think, in the dailies. And then we have the 6 of Wands. So we have so many wands this week in terms of how and why, right? Why we're moving. This 8 of Cups asks us to be on our way, right? I love that the 8 of Cups is following, right? The 6 of Wands that's moving forward. So this is about how we're in a quest. We're going to put down the things that are not satisfying us, that are not fulfilling us, that are not bringing us more contentment, more peace, more joy, more bliss. And we're going to move toward those things that do, right? This is a card of victory. So no matter how your week feels, understand that as you exit this week, you're going to have some clarity. You're going to have some moving away. You're going to have that shift between I have to leave this thing behind and I'm going to move toward this next step, right? So we see that in the Wheel. We see that in the Chariot. We see it in Judgment. We see it in Strength. We see it in this beautiful 9 and 7 of Wands. We see it in the Tower. We see it in all of these cards. This is about how we move away from stagnation, stillness, from an unfulfilled sense into that next thing. And do I even need to really say anything else about that? I don't think so. I love this. 28, right? The hollow bone with teachability, right? And what is most important in the world is teachability, right? Your sense that you're not fixed, right? We see that Mars squaring Jupiter in fixed signs early in the week. How are you in that fixed sense, right? And then we have that Moon in Leo rolling through. So ask yourself, how are you in that fixed energy versus how teachable are you? How willing are you to let this stuff go? Let's read what the hollow bone has to say. This has this message: teachability, humility, being empty so that the wind of spirit can breathe through you. Oh boy, that's beautiful. The hollow wing bone of an eagle is a flute for the shamans. The appearance of the hollow bone invites you to become empty of your notions of who you are and check your ego at the door, and to know that this is not about you, right? Relinquish your need to be right and to express an opinion, as this will not change anything right now. You're being called to practice humility. Hollow yourself out and hear the wind blow through you and play you like a flute. You'll learn the language of the squall and the storm and understand the message in the summer breeze. There is an important communication waiting for you. Humility is the swiftest path for you to become like the hollow bone. Drop all notions and titles that bolster your ego. Eliminate the doer and allow things to happen of their own accord. Absolutely, right? Check yourself. Check yourself. Remember that you can accomplish most anything if you are willing to let someone else take credit for it. Think about that, right? If you're doing a thing for your ego, why are you doing it? Hollow bone has come to caution you to believe only 50% of what you think and 10%. Let me read that again. The hollow bone has come to caution you to believe only 50% of what others think and only 10% of what you think. Trust your experience, not even what you have read in sacred books or holy texts. This will allow you to turn apparent danger into an opportunity. How much revelatory but not incendiary messaging is there in this? Remember that you are an insignificant grain of sand in the grand scheme of life, and as important as the brightest sun, right? You're all of it. You're all of it. You're your entire experience. And the more fixed you believe yourself to be, the less available you are to flow. Y'all. Yeah. Have a great week. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Please stop, breathe, and feel. And when you have the opportunity to choose revelation or explosion, choose revelation, right? Choose revelation. Anyway, big, giant blessings. I'll talk to you next week.